Hey, it's Jordan, Status Coup. Here's a little members slash patrons behind the scenes video. I just finished my interview with Dr. Jill Stein, which we're going to air in a little bit. But I kind of wanted to talk about something that happened the other day that I think is so emblematic of the problem in America, particularly with an uninformed populace. So, first off, I'll tell you the funny part. So, for those of you that follow me, I like taking baths. I'm a big fan of the bath. I don't know, I just focus. So, in the morning, I typically go in, I take a bath, I tweet, I read, I do emails that I have to do, and whatever. Surf the internet. And, I have the computer kind of on the side, on the corner, like, not in the bath, but on the corner of the bath. So, the other day, I tripped. It was bound to happen. I'm an idiot. I tripped, and the computer fell in the bathtub. So that was the beginning of my day, which led to having to go to the Apple store and be there for an hour and a half, trying to save the computer, but it could not be saved. So I had to send it out for repair, and I can't, in this line of work, I can't be without a computer. So I called my brother, and he was nice enough to lend me his computer that he doesn't really need as much as I do. So I went up to his apartment, which is all the way up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So I get off the subway and I'm walking to his apartment, and it's a really nice day out, and people are out, eating and things like that. So I pass, I'm walking, and I'm almost at his apartment, and I see a group of women, looked like a group of friends, and they were brunching together. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I hear one of them say, like, yeah, none of them really do it for me yet. So, like, that made me a little, I didn't want to be like a creeper and, like, stop and eavesdrop, but I kind of, like, started walking slower. And then I hear another one be like, I love Beto. I love Beto. So then I realized they were talking about the Democratic presidential candidates. So, I'm not going to lie, I was walking, and I, like, pretended, like, oh, I forgot something. So, like, I turned back around and kind of, like, hovered a little bit because I wanted to hear some of the conversation because I find it instructive. This is like a group of friends. I think they were probably like 30-year-old, in their 30s, maybe 40s, women. And you just hear each one saying, one of them says, like, oh, Bernie annoys me. He's just too old. And another one was saying something like, I don't know if he'll win, but I really like that Mayor Pete. He's so, like, he's just so, you could tell he's really classy and warm. And I'm not mocking the women, obviously. Some, like, my mother is less about policy as she is about, like, the way somebody comes off. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are like that. But the more I heard, you have one person saying, like, I just love Joe Biden. Like, I can't believe the ridiculousness. Like, oh, he breathed on me inappropriately, one woman said. And, like, I thought, like, should I record this conversation? But I thought that would be a little, like, invading privacy. It's one thing to record, like, trying to expose corruption. It's another thing to record, like, people having brunch. So I was just, like, listening, and it was just this round robin of ignorance where they didn't know anything about policy. They didn't know anything about the candidates' policies, really. It was all about charisma. So when I heard the person say, oh, I love Beto, like, I just love listening to him talk. He makes a lot of sense. Obviously, maybe that one woman sitting at brunch is interested in the environment and climate change. I don't know, but maybe she is. But because she's not being informed by the majority of the media in this country, she probably doesn't know that Beto O'Rourke might sound wonderful, but he's voted for offshore drilling. He's voted to lift the ban on foreign exports. He's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from natural gas and fossil fuel companies. There's this disconnect between normal citizens that simply gravitate towards charisma, or like, oh, Mayor Pete, he seems so classy and like a warm guy, like a slice of American apple pie. Meanwhile, I just did an interview with a candidate for mayor in South Bend who knows Mayor Buttigieg very well, and basically has said, like, he's essentially let developers take over South Bend, Indiana. Downtown looks beautiful, just like downtown looks beautiful in Chicago and Portland Seattle, San Francisco, LA, all the cities being gentrified. But he hasn't done much for like the worker bees in South Bend. And there's a big homelessness problem and all these things. It was just really remarkable to me passing these women. And again, I mean, replace these women. I'm sure there's conversations like this happening all over America where people talk about the candidates, and when they say, the first one I heard talking, when they say, "Oh, I'm not in love with any of them anymore," underneath all of that is they're being misinformed. More, going even deeper, they're not being informed on these candidates, what they stand for, what their policies are, what they would do as president, and who do they take money from, who are they connected to. And that's why you end up having conversations like this at a brunch table. And I'm sure when you extrapolate that all over the country, conversations that are devoid of actual facts. Imagine if you actually had media in this country that informed those people, oh, Beto O'Rourke, he's got that charisma, but he's going to have to answer for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, talking about voting to deregulate Wall Street, talking about voting for a $715 billion defense budget, and the votes that he's done favorable to the fossil fuel industry, all that. Those women, it's not their fault, actually. They are unaware of those things because the media the masses consume do not inform them of those things. Frankly, there's independent media that sometimes miss the boat on candidates and don't go deep in. When you had somebody else saying, "Oh, Bernie, he's too old." I mean, I guess I'm not going to say it's not a valid at all concern that Bernie Sanders is older. So is Joe Biden. I could understand why some people might think that's a concern. But when I hear, "Oh, he just irritates me and he's old," like, she's obviously not getting from CNN or whatever outlet she's watching all of the key policies that he wants to do. And the policies that she is being exposed to, she's getting the wrong information because CNN and the Washington Post and all these put out propaganda about things like Medicare for all and put out and spin the facts to make it seem like it's a government takeover that's going to cost us, you're going to have to sell your arm and leg to afford this. And I wanted to do a behind the scenes video on this because I just thought it was like really instructive. And this is the problem with, I also think, like, journalists and pollsters. They don't actually go out into communities to talk to people or listen to people. So like, this was just walking to my brother's apartment to get his computer because I'm an idiot and broke my laptop in the bathtub. I digress. But I just thought it was instructive. And I was like, I want to talk to viewers about this because can you imagine how many conversations like that are going out around the country? Because the majority of people are not like you and I. They're not like political diehards that like consuming news and are interested in politics or interested in social justice. Most of them are just like Game of Thrones fans, watch The Real Housewives, on Instagram all day, and like my mother, I love her. She's the reason I'm here. She's a wonderful woman. She supported me through everything. But I've told her, you got to stop watching Fox News and maybe one less episode of The Real Housewives. But she says to me, Jordan, I have a stressful job. I have a stressful week. My parents have a small business. So when I get home, I just want something that numbs my brain and I can escape. And I get that. That's cool. So if you like watching Lifetime and those things, more power to you. But I think a lot of people in this country are being, uninformed by the media. So they have conversations like, "Oh, well, I think Beto, he's dreamy." But how do they have no actual view or nothing to latch onto to actually see all right, yeah, I like him and his charisma, but he's an empty shell who is basically has voted very conservatively. Because I promise you, most people in New York City are liberal, not conservative. So I just think it's instructive, and I wonder how many conversations like that go on in your neck of the woods with people that are having the same conversations. "Oh, I'm not in love with any of them," or "Oh, Bernie, he's old and annoying," or "Oh, Mayor Pete seems like a really nice guy." Blah, 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 It's all because they are latching on to the only thing that they've been exposed to, and that is personality, character, brands. Kamala's for the people. That's her brand. And the media has pushed that brand. So it's just really interesting to me. I wish that it wouldn't be creepy to do hidden camera, just hover over people having brunch or having meals or whatever, and show you how people, at least in New York, talk about politics, meaning that they're all uninformed. And I got to be honest with you, I can't actually criticize them or blame them because they're uninformed, because the media that used to be a public service, it was the media's not just desire to, but responsibility to inform people on the issues, on where the candidates stand, on who they take money from, which hasn't happened in a long time. The media doesn't do that at all. But this is part of why we have the neoliberalism and lesser of two evils constantly, because the masses are uninformed. And that's why Status Coup exists. Thank you for supporting us as a member and patron. Some of you are members, some of you are patrons, and we just passed 300. We just passed 300 members. Look at the confetti and the balloons. So that's super exciting. Onward to 500 now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.